Mic check. Mic check.
Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Hello? Still an echo?
Good morning to all attendees joining us in the hearing room. Good morning, city staff. If there are any members of the public who wish to offer commentary on any agenda items, please find that the speaker cards are located in the back of the room along with the agendas. Please bring the speaker card to the facilitator seat. Make sure it has the agenda item number you are speaking on. Thank you. Good morning to our attendees on the Zoom platform. If you would like to provide public multiple item or single item comment, please raise your hand so I can ask you to unmute and list your name for the record. I'll ask callers who wish to provide commentary on any of our items to please raise your hand again. Thank you. We have Jennifer Spencer. Jennifer, what item are you speaking on? Oh, disregard. Jennifer, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, sorry, I pressed the wrong thing. Public comment, please.
Thank you.
Jennifer, can you unmute yourself, please?
Audit LA.
Morning. I would like to speak on public comment and all items, please.
Thank you.
Thank-
Gigi, go ahead.
Yes, I would just like general public comment, please.
Thank you. She said general. Nora, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like general public comment on all agenda items, please.
Thank you. Laura FM.
Hi, good morning. I'm gonna do minutes, general public comment, and I want to speak on all agenda items, but I'll be very quick on it.
Thank you. Merjan, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure I understand that. Yeah.
Good morning. Just a general public comment, please.
Thank you.
they'll join later.
And caller ending in 880.
General public comment.
Have you met Sam?
Thank you.
So
Hi, Georgina. Can you please let me know what you are speaking on today?
Hi, yes, I'd like all items, please, and public comment.
Thank you. Good morning to all attendees joining us in the hearing room. Good morning, city staff, commissioners. If there are any members of the public who wish to offer commentary on any agenda items, please find speaker cards that are located in the back of the room along with agenda items, and you could bring them over. Thank you.
there's two.
President Kane? President Kang, we are now in record mode. We are now in record mode and ready to begin.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. Ms. Reyes, please take roll and establish quorum.
Okay, we will begin with you, President Kang, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Cardenas, and we are joined today by City Attorney Representative Virginia Choi, and I am Sandy Reyes, facilitating this meeting. And we have established quorum.
Thank you very much. So before we take public comment, we have a special presentation this morning to recognize the TM23 Foundation for the Park Project, which is located underneath our 6th Street Bridge. So I want to invite our Bureau of Engineering representatives as well as our Council District 14 representative to join us at the podium.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dylan Stickland, and I'm proud to serve as Field Deputy for Council District 14. Councilmember Jurado is at today's City Council meeting, but I'm here representing her to recognize the tireless work of the Bureau of Engineering and especially thank TM23 Foundation for their generosity in funding Tommy's Field at the new 6th Street Park. I'll just say briefly that this commitment to accessible green recreation spaces is a value that the council member shares. Our neighborhoods in CD14 are and have always been places where cultural and passions bring people together across streets, language, and generations. And you can see that in places like the park and Tommy's Field. It'll be a place where kids, athletes, and families can be a community of places of belonging and formative experiences. That sense of growth and belonging doesn't happen by accident. It's built through investment, partnership, and equity. And it's important to highlight that this project marks a major step in revitalizing the 6th Street Viaduct, which connects Angelenos between the east side and the heart of the city. So we think that this area that bridges communities is a fitting place to honor Tommy. At Tommy's Field at 6th Street Park, his legacy will touch the lives of generations of young athletes who will grow and play together. For the council member, these intentional community investments into public spaces are what supports our vibrant culture and continues to build a long-lasting legacy for Los Angeles. So I want to once again recognize BOE for their leadership and work moving this project across the finish line. Thank you also to the Board of Public Works for allowing us to participate in this celebration. And now I'd like to present this TM23 Foundation with a certificate of recognition on behalf of Council District 14 and the City of Los Angeles.
Yes.
Good morning. Once again, Alfred Mata, the interim city engineer. I am pleased to be here today as we recognize Nikki and Doug Mark for this grant agreement that represents a profound commitment to the children and families in the Boyle Heights community. And on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, the Department of Public Works, and the Department of Recreation and Parks, the Bureau of Engineering will be accepting a generous $1 million donation from the TM23 Foundation. This funding is dedicated to the construction of a new synthetic soccer field within the east side of the park at the 6th Street Viaduct Park Arts and River Connectivity Project. While the grant agreement includes a donation ceiling of $1.5 million to allow for future fundraising, this foundation has already successfully secured $1 million to bring this vision to life. The TM23 Foundation was established by Nikki and Doug Mark in 2018 in memory of their son, Tommy, who passed away at a very young age. So this project obviously carries a very deep and personal significance to them and to the entire community. The mission of TM23 is to build soccer fields in his honor, and we are proud that this Department of Recreation and Parks and the Bureau of Engineering and the Department of Public Works has conceptually approved the naming of this site Tommy's Field in Boyle Heights. This agreement allows us to continue TM23's donation, or combine TM23's $1 million donation with $1 million of city funding to cover the total estimated cost of $2 million for the soccer field. So on behalf of the Department of Public Works and the City of Los Angeles and the Bureau of Engineering, I want to thank the TM23 Foundation for their leadership and all of the heart they put into their projects and grants in their foundation. This field will serve as a lasting tribute to all the youth in the community and a vibrant resource for the Boyle Heights community for generations to come. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
And then I would love for the members of the foundation to provide some remarks.
It's really been an honor to work with the City of Los Angeles, everyone within Parks and Rec and the Bureau of Engineering, and the council members team has been so supportive of us throughout the city. And for such a large city, you know, it's really been an amazing experience. We're honored to improve our parks. We know how desperately we need more athletic fields for children to play on. And this is such a beautiful way to honor a child we lost too soon, but whose impact continues to ripple across our city throughout our youth. So thank you.
I'll echo what Nikki said. We're both natives of Los Angeles. We're so pleased that we get to contribute a little bit to this city and help you guys with all the great work that we've seen Parks and Rec and planning and engineering and public works do these past few years, these couple of fields. Tommy discovered the East Side through soccer. He discovered it by making friends with kids on the East Side and playing with kids on the East Side. So this was a natural for him to build over here where he used to play and got so much joy. And more West Siders should do it. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. So I also wanted to invite all the commissioners to provide some remarks, but I'm happy to kick it off. I think all of us had an opportunity to visit the new soccer field that's going to be in development. For those of you who are in the audience and who's joining us virtually, it's going to be a beautiful space underneath our 6th Street Bridge. That we're going to be repurposing all the land underneath it with the beautiful soccer field, a generous donation from TM23 Foundation, along with a host slew of different amenities for our Angelenos. So once again, thank you on behalf of the board and the city. And also I wanted to invite Commissioner Grant.
Thank you. As a former soccer player, back in the day when I had wooden cleats because hardened plastic hadn't been invented yet, I really appreciate and I'm so impressed. The collaboration, cooperation to enable a concerted activity by the city is so impressive. And this is your models, I think, for us in terms of what a city is and how everybody leans in to make our city better. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cardenas.
Yes, to TM23, thank you for your generosity. I also had the pleasure of visiting the site. It's going to be a beautiful location. I think for generations to come, there's going to be some players out there that are going to have the ability to play on a beautiful field, and it's right in their backyard. So thank you again for collaborating with the city. I'm glad to hear the city was good to work with. I'd like to hear that a lot. So again, thank you very much.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you so much for your generous contribution to 6th Street Park. We went out in December. It's probably much further along than it was when we went out right before Christmas, but hearing of your gift is invaluable in terms of, and indescribable in terms of what that is. I often say that the good thing about working in infrastructure is you can go back and see the work that you've done. In this instance, you too can see the good that you've done in memory of your son. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So with that, we'll take a brief 5-minute recess. We'll invite the foundation and BOE to take a photo right behind us where the flags are, and then we'll resume the meeting. The time now is 10:13 a.m.
Sounds good. I'll introduce the report, and then when we come to your slides, we'll invite you up. Okay. I figured that's what you're doing. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to address just the slide and now updates questions 2 weeks ago. Give them the time as of today. Rather than wait for questions and step back, I assume I'll ask questions at the end. Okay. I'll just start. I'll just say.
All right, Ms. Reyes, if you could reestablish quorum for us.
Reestablishing quorum, President Kang, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Cardenas, and we are joined today by Virginia Choi, City Attorney Representative, and I am Sandy Reyes. And we
Thank you
have
very
quorum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will get started with general public comment, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board on public interest items, and will be provided up to 1 minute per person, up to a cumulative total of 10 minutes for the general public comment segment of each regular meeting. Testimony shall be limited in content to subject matters which are within the jurisdiction of the Board of Public Works. The board may not take any action on any matters discussed during the public comment period. We do not have any, we do not have any in-person speakers, so we'll transition to our virtual comments. However, one note, item number 2 will be withdrawn as the board has approved it on March 20th. So with that, we'll take virtual comments.
Thank you, President Kang. We will begin with Jennifer Spencer. Jennifer, please unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning, board members. Each meeting, I listen to the callers ask you to change the name of L. Ron Hubbard Way back to North Berendo Street with such strong emotion and passion in their voices. We ask you this because no cult leader that has physically and emotionally harmed their followers deserves such an honor. We ask this because the ex-Scientologists that managed to escape and the current Scientologists that are wanting to escape but can't yet deserve to know that there are people fighting to make things better for them. And they also deserve to know society will not stand still while slavery and abuse occurs. It may seem like a small gesture, but it really isn't. Please change the name of L. Ron Hubbard Way back to North Berendo Street. Thank you. I turn back my time.
Thank you, Jennifer. And we will continue with Gigi. Gigi, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, so Keith Mose did something where it's so hard to figure out what's going on with the permits. The portal, like, it's not what it used to be. And I have no idea if Scientology has their permit for Easter. There's a work order for it, but it's under the non-issued permits. So I have no clue. But Keith really messed it up and made it so hard to figure that stuff out. And you guys have done nothing to make it, you stopped the amount of permits they get, but you've done nothing to make it more transparent. And you know the police are going to end up showing up because they're going to block the sidewalk, and they're going to print up some permit and show it to them. How are we to trust that they're printing up and showing the police the right permit? There needs to be something that comes from you guys specifically that the LAPD knows, where they can see that the people, the public, are allowed on the sidewalk. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Gigi. And we will continue with Nora. Nora, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Sorry, I was working on that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I just want to say as much as vehemently as I can to protest Scientology getting any permits that invite children to the property. I'm going to read to you from Dianetics, their very first book. L. Ron Hubbard says, the first axiom of interest to the auditor in his work, because with it he can clearly establish whether or not he's confronting a rational reaction. The 7-year-old girl who shudders because a man kisses her is not computing. She is reacting to an engram, since at 7 she should see nothing wrong with a kiss, not even a passionate one. There must have been an earlier experience, possibly prenatal, which made men or kissing very bad. Scientology, from the very first book, teaches men that it's okay to kiss children. When they have these events, make no mistake, it is to recruit children into their fold, to be abused, then to have those sex crimes covered up by the Church of Scientology. If you guys think the Epstein files is a big deal, no one has done a full investigation into the
Thank you,
tens
Nora.
of
That's
thousands of
time.
girls.
Thank you. And we have Laura next. Laura, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I want to echo what everybody's saying. I also want to make sure that whether there's something to do about it now, if it can be done today, that Scientology does not get that Easter permit. Scientology uses the religious holiday of Easter to literally, like Nora just said, recruit children into their cult. They have vendors and people that are Christian and that have other beliefs, and Scientology does not respect these beliefs. Scientology is scamming Public Works to again get a permit for L. Ron Hubbard Way that should be already turned back to North Berendo Street. You cannot give them this permit. If you get a permit, you cannot give them this permit. They need to explain exactly why they need this permit. Scientology has no beliefs in Easter whatsoever, so there should be no reason that they have a street closure or any kind of permits for it. They have their own property. They can abuse people on their own property, but not on city property, and they cannot keep abusing
Thank
these
you.
city
That's
permits.
time. And we will continue with Marcham.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello. You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Nora actually beat me to it because I was going to read the same excerpt that she referred to before. Scientology doesn't believe in children. They are just old souls in small bodies. And this Easter is just their dirty way of trying to get people to attend their events. They also use these street vendors, giving them free permits to come and sell their goods, even though there's not even, a handful of people on the street. It's just to block any kind of protesting and trying to polish their shield on the outside, trying to show that they are creating events for families. It's pure recruitment. Stop giving those permits. I yield back my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Georgina.
Thank you.
This isn't George. Oh my
I'm
goodness.
sorry. Should I start over? Do I get my full minute?
Yes, go ahead.
I was also going to reiterate what Gigi said about the permits. We can't look up the permits anymore, and they have historically repeatedly given fake permits to the police so that when the police come, they read the permit request and not the actual permit, which has completely different terms. So that needs to be reinstalled. We need to have Keith Mose re-put up the permits so that they are researchable not only by us, but by the police. The police need to be able to research these permits, and as it stands right now, they can't. L. Ron Hubbard said that Christ was a pedophile. They have no religious affiliation with Easter whatsoever, and they use it as a tactic to pull people in. In Scientology, they protect pedophiles. The victims are the ones that get punished if a crime is reported. It needs to be looked into. They can't be allowed to continue like this. Please do better. I yield back my time.
Thank you. And President Kang, we have 2 more people with their hands raised for.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Audit LA, would you like to speak on public comment?
Yes, but I was second in line. He skipped over me. I'm very upset about this permit, okay? We've been coming for 2 years. And not only are they cultural or religious appropriating my faith, okay? L. Ron Hubbard himself in OT Level 8 referred to Jesus as a pedophile in so many words, and then and himself as the Antichrist, okay? It is so offensive that they get to shut a public street down with those beliefs to mock, okay, another faith. I'm not coming here when we're here, we're bringing up abuses, labor abuses, everything. Okay. It's not so much about what people believe. They can believe what they want. They can believe whatever they want, but you don't have to give them a permit to rub salt in people's wounds. How do you think that the survivors feel knowing that you know full well all the abuses that they have been through, and so many others who can't even speak because they've killed themselves or whatever, or they're too afraid to come forward? And then there's this.
So sorry about that, Audit LA. That was time. Caller ending in 880. Did you have public comment?
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to reiterate what everybody else said before me. It's disgusting that you're allowing an Easter event when there is no religion going on inside. I've been there. I was married to one of them. So there's nothing going on that's religious. And to mock another religion is absolutely disgusting and not follow the permits. I behoove you to go down on Easter and see what's going on and what you're permitting. It's absolutely disgusting. It's like you're enabling a Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein. Absolutely egregious. Change the name back to Berendo Street. It's unbelievable. Bye.
Thank you. We have one more caller. MCKU, would you like to offer public comment?
Yes, hello, can everyone hear me?
Go ahead, you will have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. This is Michael Koo with LA Sanitation and Environment. I'd like to just make a comment on the request to not increase the required days in the office for City of LA employees. Multiple studies from 2020, 2020, and 2025 have shown that telecommuting benefits all demographics of employees, increases workforce efficiency, helps manage labor costs, and does not influence counterproductive work behaviors. Furthermore, a 2022 UCLA study funded by the city's personnel department found that where available, telecommuting would benefit employees, including LGBTQ+, transgender, caregivers of children and adults, and especially those who are under $100,000. Telecommuting would benefit would benefit the city leadership, and employees of all demographics. Please, please consider this. Please discuss this with the unions. Thank you for your consideration. I yield back my time.
Thank you, President Kang. That's the end of public comment.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close general public comment portion of today's meeting and move on with multiple agenda item public comment. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public wishing to speak on more than one agenda item during multiple agenda item comment period for up to a minute per item, up to a total of 3 minutes per meeting. This is the only time to speak on more than one agenda item, and please identify the items that you will speak on when you are called. We do not have any in-person speakers, so we'll transition to our virtual callers.
Thank you. We will begin with Audit LA. Please let us know what item you are speaking on.
Good morning. I want to talk about the one where you are requiring to renew the contract that they have to prove that they have their insurance. I don't know why that's not being done with the R permits and making them a renewable thing where they have to, where you enforce it. Because I'm still, and I do have, I can't find proof. The people with the portal said there's no proof that that Scientology has provided insurance for their R permit. So I don't know why we're putting this on, we're putting this one on the agenda because you're not sure. Okay, you're enforcing it here, but you're overlooking it for Scientology, a system that abuses any and every last permit that they've ever received. So please do the same thing for here. The next one I want to talk about is the fee increase. Yes, I mean, I have no problem with increasing fees for public, for these type of things. Normally I do when it comes against, individual people, but big entities like that, they should pay more. But I'm not convinced, I mean, like from what I can tell, do they even pay their way? Like they applied late for this permit. And did they have to pay the extra fees? I hope so. I hope they proved insurance. I hope they proved everything they need to do. But, but it's disgusting. The next one I want to do is the neighborhood council. Were the neighborhood councils notified of this permit? Hello? Okay. Okay, I don't know, because they might want their street open. The neighborhood is happy that the street is opening up. They have enough land and property to have these events on their property. There is no need to shut down the streets. The neighborhood councils are required to be notified about this. And as far as the thing, I think the fee thing for I saw something about for the investigative unit. I am asking you to please, if the fees are to help provide more enforcement, then yes, double, triple the fees, because that's what's lacking here. I'm asking you to please send, if you do give this permit, which I really truly hope you don't, to make sure that all the labor there is paid labor. You're not, I've been saying how long? There's not an religious exemption. And even still, slave labor, they're not allowed to do non-religious work. And you cannot tell me that providing an Easter, my faith's party for that, a recruitment event for that, whatever, is not part of their religion. And I also don't want to hear that we can't use bullhorns to protest because they're having a religious service. This is my religion, so I should be able to bullhorn or whatever I want. It's disturbing to me personally that they're shutting down a public street for hijacking my faith when they believe that Jesus is a pedophile and that LRH was the Antichrist. Okay, it is messing with my head
Thank you,
today.
Audit
That you
LA.
guys
That's
gave me.
time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Nora. Nora, please unmute yourself and let us know what agenda items you are speaking on.
I'm going to echo what the items Audit just did. I just want to say, like, very, very clearly, I grew up in Scientology. The things that Audit is saying are contained, especially in the quotation I already read out to you about L. Ron
Speaker,
Hubbard.
this is your one and final warning. Please stick to the items that you'll be speaking on. There are no Scientology items on the agenda.
No, I know, but we're talking about permits and we're talking about having insurance for the permits.
Which items are you referring to?
I'm sorry?
Which items are you speaking to?
On the minutes and on the permitting and yeah.
Okay, you have 1 minute for the minutes.
Okay, so in issuing these permits for the L. Ron Hubbard Way, you guys are entertaining and are co-conspirators in allowing children to be exposed to an ideology that claims that Jesus Christ was a pedophile, that L. Ron Hubbard is the Antichrist, and then a religion that teaches its members that kissing children passionately is okay, and that the child should be okay with it. And if the child's not okay with it, they're a criminal. So this is creating and allowing a literal pedophilia ring to operate under the cloak of religion that is permitted by the city of Los Angeles, and it needs to stop. You guys have to stop allowing them to usurp other people's religions. They do not believe in any single one of these things. They do not get any holidays. There are no holidays in Scientology. It is not a religious experience. It is a cult that brainwashes and harms children. That is happening under the guise of the city, permitted by you to
Thank you,
recruit
Nora.
new
That's
people.
time. And next we have Laura FM.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. What items are you speaking on?
The minutes, please.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to say that, of course, obviously there's people like myself who have been trying to expose these permit crimes of Scientology, and we're trying to really get that reflected on the minutes. What Nora's talking about was that she needs all that reflected on the minutes for legal purposes and for the reflection of your guys' own work ability. If you guys need to improve your work, ethic or whatever it is, or have the person, whoever's doing that, we need something on the minutes that reflects that so that we can do our part to do our change as civilians so that future children don't go get traumatized through this same procedure. And the minutes need to reflect that we've been asking you guys, A, to fix the minutes for the last 3 years, but also to revoke Scientology's permit and to revoke all their permits, stop giving them permits. That needs to be put on the minutes. We do appreciate what you guys have done, and it's obviously disturbing that there's even a
Thank
place
you,
for
Laura.
them
That's
to.
time. Next we have 880. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what items you're speaking on.
I'm not commenting. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Georgina.
Hi, I'd like to start with the minutes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
As far as the minutes go, the fact that we're telling you about these permit abuses and that's not being recorded in the minutes is a crime to me. I don't understand why that wouldn't be included. That is something that is definitely applicable to your job to make sure that these permits are abided by, to make sure these permits aren't abused. And the fact that they continually keep abusing them and you keep giving them permits and it's not reflected in the minutes needs to be addressed. It needs to be changed. Your YouTube channel has the exact same title. And I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to keep saying it until it's fixed. It's a problem. You can't have the same title for every single video going back thousands of videos. It's ridiculous. How is any of this researchable? Moving on to agenda items 4 and 5 with the contracts and the bidding. Why is it that people bidding for contracts for city work have to provide insurance? They have to jump through hoops to prove that they're treating their employees well, and yet you let Scientology with slave labor do public work on public streets, and they don't have insurance. They don't treat their employees well. You're putting to a detriment the people that are law abiding and that are following the procedures and the steps for bidding for these contracts by not giving them the same, holding them to the same standards. It needs to be addressed. For the council issues, I don't understand why you keep continually letting Scientology slip through the cracks and put these permits in last minute so that they don't have to go before the council boards. The councils need to be aware of these issues. They need to be able to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't keep continually closing the street because that's what's giving the appearance of Scientology owning that street. Thank you.
President, can we have one more person with their hand raised?
Yes, please.
Caller ending in 448. Go ahead. Omar, would you like to offer multiple item comment? Okay, there's nobody there.
Thank you very much. With that, we will close the multiple item public comment portion of today's meeting and move forward with the approval of minutes for Friday, March 13, 2026. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So move.
First by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Okay, and we will roll call for the approval of minutes. President Kang,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell, Vice President Chavez,
Aye.
Commissioner Gardenas, so
Aye.
sorry. Okay, we have all ayes, and we move forward with the approval of minutes.
Thank you very much. So we're going to take a couple things out of the order so that everybody is aware. We'll quickly pivot to our Spark LA presentation, followed by our #1 bids, and then we'll go to the convention center update, and then with the regular order. So in that order. So with that, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Vice President Chavez, for the gala recognition.
Thank you, President King. I'm so pleased to welcome our special guest today, the exceptional young women from Girls Academic Leadership Academy, GALA for short, the first and only all-girls public STEM school in LAUSD. Having you here in our boardroom is truly a highlight. Earlier this morning, you had an opportunity to hear directly from women who work across our bureaus, from contract administration to Bureau of Engineering, as well as LA Sanitation. And you got to have a little taste of what public works looks like from women who are currently doing the work. They're out there maintaining the streets that you travel, managing the systems that keeps our city clean and our water clean, designing the infrastructure that holds Los Angeles together. And we also are celebrating the completion of your after-school program that is put on by HNTB, the Spark LA program, which seeks to expose you to different fields in engineering and concepts related to STEM and the career pathways where women have been historically underrepresented. So when I look at all of you, I see our future engineers, environmental scientists, project managers, and civic leaders who will shape the future of this city. And the fact that you're pursuing this knowledge now at this stage in your life says a great deal about who you are and who you are becoming. And I wanted to also extend thanks to HNTB for sponsoring the program and the volunteers, the engineers that volunteer their time to teach this after-school program, and the teachers also who give their time to make this possible. And so with that, I'm delighted to turn this over to Veronica Chen from HNTB, if you want to say a few quick words, and then we'll do some remarks from my fellow commissioners.
Good morning, Board of Public Works Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of HNTB's Spark LA program at Girls Academic Leadership Academy, also known as GALA. So my name is Veronica Chen, and I'm a civil engineer at HNTB, and one of the Spark LA coordinators this year, along with Cecilia Vong, Taylor Gates, and Lily Acuna. The Spark LA program launched in 2017 as a collaboration with former Mayor Eric Garcetti, the Department of Public Works, and HNTB in order to promote gender equity. And since then, we have partnered with GALA, an all-girls STEM-focused school in the LA Unified School District. HNTB is very excited to be wrapping up our 10th year of the Spark LA program at GALA. As of this afternoon, the students will have completed 6 weeks of hands-on activities with experts in engineering on the topics of bridge design, geotechnical engineering, tunnel design, aviation, transit planning, and roadway. There are many people who are responsible for the success of the Spark LA program, and we would like to thank Vice President Chavez and the Department of Public Works for your partnership over the years. Thank you to the staff here today who helped make this field trip possible and shared about their careers here at the city. Thank you to Dr. Liz Hicks, who founded the Gala School, and our Gala teacher sponsor, Miss Adrienne Warlick, who welcomes us back year after year. Lastly, we would also like to thank all of our volunteers who enthusiastically share their expertise and knowledge with our students every year. We are grateful to continue partnering with the City of LA on this free after-school program that introduces more students to STEM careers. And I'm very excited to see what the future will hold for these students, because I know that whatever they put their mind to, they will accomplish. And congratulations to all of the students for completing the program this year, and thank you. And so I would now like to invite a few students to talk about their experience with Spark.
So I really like Spark because I want to be an architect when I grow up, and I think this has really helped me learn about opportunities of what is a possible job for architects and where I could work. And I really like all the hands-on activities because that's really how I think with my hands. So I like that I'm able to do this.
Hi, my name is Genesis, and I joined Spark because I really like building and doing hands-on activities. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to join.
Thank you. And then I want to briefly also hand it over to my colleagues to make some quick remarks, and then we'll do certificates.
We'll start with Commissioner Mitchell.
Congratulations on completing your 6-week course. I hope you learned a lot, and I know you were interacting with the engineers this morning. I know it's very vitally important that you have this exposure and continue your education, and I hope that we see your proud work, perhaps in the Department of Public Works or other endeavors that you might encounter in the future.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Cardenas?
Yes, thank you. Well, congratulations, young ladies. This opportunity that you have is a very unique opportunity. I'm happy to see that you, well, at least a few ladies that spoke right now, spark an interest in these types of endeavors. Growing up, this program was not around when I was your age, so I'm really happy to see that this is happening. As an engineer myself, when I was in college, the number of women in the classrooms was very, very small. I'm happy to say that now that number has changed dramatically, and to the point where it's almost 50-50, the number of men and women in the college classrooms, especially in the sciences. So you have a huge, huge future ahead of you. Congratulations, and just keep on thinking about what you want to do, and always, always ask questions. Congratulations.
Thank you. President Pro Tem Grant.
Congratulations also. You completed more than just a program. You've shown that you're going to belong in the room where decisions are made. President King and I yesterday observed the engineering department's high school student bridge constructing project, and it was more than half of the room were in fact women. And your academy, Spark, has actually proved that in fact you can come and lead as well. Spark has opened the door. You've walked through that door. Gala has prepared you to lead, and you're going to do so. Hold on to what you've learned, hold on to who you've met, and congratulations for work well done.
Thank you very much. So I know Vice President Chavez helped lead today's presentation along with Commissioner Mitchell as well. So thank you again to all of the students at Gala. You know, I have a daughter. in kindergarten, and maybe I'm hoping she can join all of you later in her years. And I said this last year, I think Gala holds a special place because about 10 years ago, when I worked for a member of the state legislature, the first bill that I worked on was AB 23, which at the time, there was a lot of lawsuits opposing single-gender education in public schools in California. So Assembly Bill 23 enshrined Gala and others throughout the state to make sure that you all receive the education that you're receiving today. So congratulations and thank you again.
All right, thank you. And with that, so I'm going to call the names of the students. You can come up and get your certificate, and then you can line up, and then after we're all done, you can sit back down. First honoree for your participation in the Spark LA program is Elizabeth Salazar. Next is Adanya Mocha. Next is Genesis Hernandez. Melanie Martinez. Darren Beck. Madison Baker. Marion Garvey. Great job, Marion. Congratulations. Kaylee Akira Garcia. Samantha Isa. Asa Azar Robinet. Everly Josephson. And then also as an additional acknowledgement, the Spark LA program is celebrating its 10th year, is that correct? So congratulations on a decade of accomplishment. I wanted to recognize Lily Acuna, Cecilia Vong, and Veronica Chen with some certificates. You can just come up and receive your certificates. Veronica. Lily, wait, Lily. And I know Taylor isn't here, but we also have a certificate for Taylor. Do you want to stand up really quick and do a quick photo? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again and congratulations, students from Gala. Hopefully we'll see some of you next year. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll take a brief recess for a group photo outside in the forecourt. The time now is 10:51 a.m. Ms. Reyes, since we have quorum, if you want to reestablish for us.
Okay, we are in record mode and we will be reestablishing quorum. President Kang, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioner Mitchell, and we are joined by Virginia Choi from City Attorney's Office, and I'm Sandy Reyes, and we have quorum.
Thank you very much. Vice President Chavez is in the room as well, and then Commissioner Cardenas will be joining us shortly. Moving on to number 1, our bids for Valley Plaza Park South Stormwater Capture Project in Council District 2.
Thank you. We are joined today by Matthew Castellanos from the Board of Public Works Secretariat. We will begin with our first bid. Our first bid comes from OHLA USA, Inc., and it is for $22,855,000. $22,855,000. Yeah. Our next bid is from Stacy and Whitbeck, Inc. for $18,855,550. Next, we have Toro Enterprises, Inc. for $21,374,000. Next, we have Legion Contractors, Inc. for $16,988. $16,988. Oh, so sorry, let me repeat that. $16,988,000. Next, we have Environmental Construction, Inc. for $19,760,577. And last, is this the last one, sorry? Oh, next we have Reyes Construction, Inc. for $20,075,600. And next we have American Integrated Services, Inc. for $18,113,000. That is American Integrated Services, Inc. for $18,113,000. Next, we have Los Angeles Engineering. For $19,250,000. Okay, our final bid is from Ford EC Inc. for $17,073,000. And that concludes today's bid.
Thank you very much. I'll move to accept the bids. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Bids received, and we will tabulate the votes. President Kang, Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
Okay, all ayes, and the bids move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. Item number 2 is withdrawn, as we have already previously approved on March 20th, 2026. Switching over to item number 8, Los Angeles Convention Center Modernization and Expansion Project Update from the Bureau of Engineering.
Apologies while we get the presentation set up.
While we're getting set up, just for the record, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Good morning. My name is Richard Louis. I'm a deputy city engineer with the Bureau of Engineering. Today we are presenting an update on the Los Angeles Convention Center project. With me to present today are representatives of BCA who will co-present this update, and I'll let BCA introduce themselves when their portion of the presentation comes up. We'll begin with a quick background on the project and then a high-level status of the summary before BCA then comes up and presents some information on the status of the project labor agreement and business inclusion program status. After BCA presents, I will then provide an update on what was accomplished on the 4 weeks before March 6, 2026, as well as provide an update on the work that is anticipated in the next 30 days following March 6, 2026, ending the presentation with a few key risk topics and some of the mitigation actions that are being performed to mitigate those risks. So the LA Convention Center Modernization Project is a public infrastructure investment project that will be a major economic driver for the downtown Los Angeles area. The scope of this project includes an expansion of the existing convention center that would add up to 190,000 square feet of new exhibit hall space, 55,000 square feet of new meeting room space, and 95,000 square feet of a new multi-purpose space at the top of the expansion. The project also includes modernization elements and a new digital signage program. The project agreement was executed between the city and the developer, APCLA. That agreement was executed on September 30th, 2025, and the agreement utilizes a delivery method similar to design build. The project will complete a majority of the physical construction before the 2028 Olympics and Paralympics. The project will then demobilize, pause, and ensure the convention center is camera ready for the 2028 games. After the 2028 games, APCLA will remobilize and complete the project. So we begin first, if you can go back one, with some photos to give you a visual on some of the work that's going out on the site. The first photos that you see here on the screen are some events that were held for the project. So these events included a job fair for potential construction workers to learn about the project and the opportunities for the project. And on the right-hand side, you can see a project team barbecue. On the next slide, we show a photo, and on the left-hand side, you see the construction of a temporary truck ramp that's being constructed. This temporary ramp is needed because the permanent ramp is going to be removed during construction, and will eventually be reconstructed, but during the construction phase, we need this temporary ramp so that delivery trucks can get up and deliver material to the convention center. On the right-hand side, you can see some of the demolition that was being performed. You no longer see, but about 20 feet above ground level used to be a walkway, a concrete walkway. That walkway has been demolished, and some of the exterior facade has been demolished in preparation for the new building to go connect to the old building. And then on this last slide, you see on the left-hand side, the installation of a temporary brace frame in the South Hall. And that must be installed prior to the exterior wall being removed. You need to strengthen the building before you can remove the exterior wall. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the build-out of some of the office spaces for the construction staff. So those are just a few visuals so you can see some of what's going on. At a high-level summary, the project overall is on track. Additionally, our spending is on track. The schedule, we do show it as a yellow, as a watch, because currently the latest monthly schedule update received from APCLA shows that the schedule is 9 days delay to meeting the Olympics readiness deadline of March 31st, 2028. This is an improvement from last month's report where we were 17 days delay. So from 17, we're now at 9, and we continue to work with the contractor to mitigate this delay and bring us back into meeting Olympics readiness deadline. We do want to note that we put an asterisk on there and wanted to mention that the fire life safety smoke control challenges on this project do present a risk from a schedule perspective. But the entire team, APCLA, the PWJV design build contractor, the city as owner and permitting departments, the entire team are collaborating to ensure that we make Olympics readiness. Although there is some potential impacts to substantial and final completion, we wanted you to be aware of that risk, even though currently that is not being realized. On the right-hand side of this executive summary, we provide a summary of the project budget. We also provided a summary of the allowances and change orders. So out of the $345 million authorized allowance budget, we have executed 4 allowances for an amount of $58 million, and no change orders have been fully executed. So we are within the budget for both the allowance budget and the change order budget, construction contingency budget. On the next page, we give a brief summary of the invoices paid. To the date of this report, invoices up to December had been paid. And actually, since the date of this report, the January invoice has also been paid. The February invoice is currently being processed. So with that, I'm going to invite BCA to come up and give an update on the project labor agreement and business inclusion program progress.
Good morning, all. My name is Ian Monte, representing the Bureau of Contract Administration's Office of Contract Compliance, and I'm here to provide a brief but updated overview of how the Department of Public Works project labor agreements progress on targeted hiring hours requirements for this project is performing. So for those that aren't aware, just because I always want to make sure everyone is working from the same base of information, the Department of Public Works PLA, otherwise, well, known as the PLA, my bad, I should have said project labor agreement first, has 3 requirements in terms of targeted hiring hours. The first is local hire hours, where at least 30% of the total hours performed have to be done by city residents. Also, with transitional workers, at least 10% of the same hours, total hours, have to be performed by those city residents that have some sort of barriers to employment and are identified as transitional workers. And finally, at least half or 50% of all of the apprentice hours on the project have to be performed by city residents that are bona fide apprentices. So the report does have a page that identifies the metrics as of, I want to say it was March 9th of 2026. However, the Bureau touts itself on having real-time data, so we provided an update this morning and we provided it to all the members of the board, and we'll update the electronic version as well with data as of this morning. I'm not going to read all of the numbers because we'll be here for another 30 minutes and we don't want to do that. but I will talk about the big rocks. So the numbers have all improved in the last 2 weeks. So with the 30% goal, the project was performing at 35%. It is now at 36%. With the transitional worker requirement, it was at 5%. It is now at 6%. And for the local apprentice requirement, it was at 41. It is now at 43. So understanding that the project still has a ways to go to find itself in full compliance, it certainly appears that it's on the road to that. In addition, I do want to point out the workforce, and this is just to give some information to kind of tell the whole picture of exactly what's happening on the project. So we have 30 verified contractors as of this morning that have collectively performed 118,783 construction work hours. These all have been reported to the Bureau of Contract Administration by way of 393 certified payrolls that have featured 501 total workers. Of that, 159 of those workers, or 32% of the workforce, are local. In addition, we have 83 apprentices, and of that, 35 or 42% of the apprentice workforce are local. Finally, well, in addition, with those apprentice numbers, we have 17 first-period apprentices, which means there are at least 17 people on this project that are getting their first or initial experience into construction, and they're beginning their career on this project. So 17 of those individuals. 11 of those individuals are local. And last but certainly not least, there are 38 transitional workers on this project, which represents 8% of the total workforce. So I just wanted to share these particular numbers, and I yield the microphone back to Richard.
Oh, please, Abby.
Good morning, President Kang, VP Chavez, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioners Mitchell and Cardenas, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and the Board of Public Works Executive Officer. My name is Patricia Reyes, and I'm with the Bureau of Contract Administration, the Office of Contract Compliance, and I'll be presenting the Business Inclusion Program, pledged participation percentages, and anticipated percentages. If you look at the chart, BCA has been tracking minority business enterprise, women business enterprise, small business enterprise, disabled business enterprise, local business enterprise, emerging business enterprises, and other business enterprises that were percentages that were established by the Business Inclusion Plan by the contractor. The anticipated percentages are 18% for MBE, 4% for WBE, 25% for SBE, 3% for DVBE, 20% for LBE, and 3% for EBE. These percentages, the amounts listed on the table were calculated from APCLA's award amount. So far, what was pledged is for MBEs 0.46%, for WBEs 0.20%, for SBEs 0.88%, for DVBEs 0.25%, for LBEs 21.11%, for EBE 0.17%, and 24% for OBEs. I'd like to make a correction for the local business enterprises verified. There was a clerical error. Instead of $644.4 million of verified the verified local business enterprise amount, it should be $489,168,075, and that would be 20.68% of the contract amount for APCLA. What was achieved so far for MBE is 0% for WBE 0%, for SBEs 0.05%, for DVBE 0%, and LBE 0.37%. The numbers for Achieve will probably change because we received recently received Schedule Bs, which is basically the utilization of subcontractors every month. So hopefully we'll improve those numbers soon. Thank you.
Thank you, BCA. Okay, let's go one more slide. The next few pages provide an update on what was completed in the 30 days leading up to March 6th. And then we will also explain what is anticipated in the 30 days after March 6th. In order to keep this update brief, I will summarize the information rather than go through every single bullet point. So on page 11, pardon me, we discussed some of the key accomplishments related to fire life safety and mechanical, electrical, plumbing topic. Regarding the fire life safety smoke control topic, some of the existing smoke control systems in the existing building aren't functioning properly. This has presented a challenge for incorporating the design of the new smoke control system for the new building to integrate that into the existing building. I mentioned this earlier, the project team has continued to work with APCLA, PWJV, LA Fire Department, LA Building and Safety to determine a path forward to resolve this challenge. Some of that path forward will include doing an assessment of the existing building and then providing an updated rational analysis and design for the smoke control. So we do have a path forward. It will take some time, but we wanted to mention that that was some of the accomplishments that were done in the past 30 days. Another topic related to fire life safety is the emergency generator. The initial plan was to relocate an existing emergency generator from the West Hall to a new location. An alternative solution has been obtained to replace rather than relocate that emergency generator. On the next page, we continue to discuss some of the construction activities. One of the big construction activities that is ongoing is continued coordination with DWP on the work to relocate existing power in the that serves the existing building, as well as to bring in the new power, the circuits 1 through 3, that will eventually be needed for the new building. As we continue on pages 13 and 14, we note that BOE is completing our review of the 50% construction document phase of the expansion drawings, and we're completing our review of the 100% design development phase of the signage drawings. Lastly, in terms of what happened in the past month, on page 15, we note that we've been continuing to focus on critical permits. One of the highest critical permits that we were needing to obtain was an early foundation permit, and that early foundation permit was obtained following a tentative approval of an alternate design solution related to Pico Passage. So that was a big milestone for us to get that early permit foundation, and now we can hopefully begin installation of the foundations, I think this week or next week. As we now look forward in the upcoming 30 days following March 6th, 2026, we discuss on page 16, 17, and 18 some key activities. We mentioned that we are going to have on design progress some additional workshops to go over the comments that BOE will be submitting to the developer on our review of the expansion drawings and the signage drawings. We will continue to have focus on upcoming critical permits, and we'll have continued coordination of the construction of the DWP power scopes. We will continue on advancing the details for that fire life safety smoke control challenge. We continue to review claim notices and notices of potential claims, and we are continuing to advance the signage design. Lastly, we want to provide a high-level summary of some of the key risks on the projects. We note that on the fire life safety strategy and on the signage cost, the risk is shown in a slightly negative arrow, partially because of the risk that the fire life safety has, and because the signage cost estimate does appear to be going potentially over the budget allocated for signage. On the design development, that is shown in a more neutral arrow. There is risk as it relates to the pace of this project in advancing the design, but we are on top of providing comments, and we'll have those workshops to continue to work through the comments that we provide on the design. And in terms of Pico Passage, the building management system, and unforeseen conditions on Pico Boulevard, that arrow is trending slightly up. I mentioned briefly about a solution that allowed us to obtain that early foundation related to Pico Passage, that solution related to Pico Passage. Also on the building management system and the unforeseen conditions on Pico Boulevard, those mitigations appear to be going well. So again, the arrow is trending slightly up. Again, trying to be timely and give a very high-level overview of the report. The report also has a lot of details, and we're here to answer questions should you have them. Thank you.
Thank you very much and appreciate the monthly updates from the team. Commissioners, any questions or comments related to today's report? Commissioner Carnes.
No, thank you for that. Just one comment. The printing format cut off the right side of our document, so without the digital version, I wouldn't be able to see the right side. If we can provide that, please.
Apologies for that. We saw that. Yeah, we will catch that next time.
Any other comments or questions? And one quick comment and question is, I know there's a lot of scrutiny between the coordination with DWP, and I know there was a on here on the tracker that due to additional work from LADWP, there were minor delays. But if you can just speak to the coordination between our departments, that would be helpful.
Yes. After understanding that the developer was indicating that there was some delay due to some of this work that the developer completed, which they believed was supposed to be completed by DWP, BOE did meet at an executive level with DWP and ensure we're on the same page. And that same page is that in the project agreement, there is an allocation of what scope needs to be done by DWP versus what scope needs to be done by the contractor. Sometimes I think in the field, it might make sense, somebody's here, they can just fulfill a task, but we made it very clear we have to stick to the letter of the responsibilities. And overall, the contractor and the team out there have mentioned that DWP is doing a great job. They have really great things to say about all the effort that DWP is putting in there. This just happened to be a situation that occurred that we have now discussed at a higher level, and they're communicating that through their team to ensure it doesn't happen again.
Thank you very much. Vice President Chavez.
Yes, thanks for the update, Richard. I think that we're 5 months into this project. We've got a long ways to go. We've hit some small snags along the way, but that's to be expected on a project of this scale and timeline and visibility. I think it's one of the more visible public works projects we've had in a while. But I think that, the talking point that deserves to be aired is the amount of work that's being done currently on this site, and just looking at these numbers, we have 500 workers working on this site. I've just got the hot off the presses numbers, they get better every time I see it, which I appreciate. The number of apprentices on it, transitional workers, and I know that we haven't hit some of the goals, although some of them we have exceeded. I think that, it's important for folks to understand and look at these numbers in context. You don't grade a student's final exam after the first week of class. You wait till the end. But that's why we have progress reports, and that's what these are now. And that's what we're going to continue to have on a monthly basis in a public setting, so that it's transparent, it's there for folks to review and scrutinize as they will, and to come and ask questions if they want. But I think that the amount of work and the amount of progress that we've seen, the early foundations permit, I mean, that's tremendous news. So I would say, generally, the small delays notwithstanding, is this project on track?
Yes, this project is on track.
Great. And in terms of how we're talking about kind of workforce on site, we're still in an early demolition phase of this project, correct?
Correct.
So in terms of headcount, are we at our lowest or are we at our highest in terms of headcount and construction hours?
We are still ramping up. We have not hit the highest level of work on the project, and it will continue to ramp up until we get to that peak. So we're still in the ramping up phase.
So there's going to be more staff, more construction hours. I mean, ultimately, at the end of this project, right now we've completed, there's been 118,000 hours on this project. This is according to the latest report here. I would imagine by the end of this project, we'll be into the millions of work hours. What would you estimate? Probably, right?
I would imagine,
We got
yes.
42 more months left. So I guess my point here is, I think we'll continue to track progress in terms of meeting the permits. I think the metrics are great. I think something that would be helpful is, I think on one of the slides where we are tracking, on the Olympics readiness deadline, and I know that you're dutifully tracking whether it's, 1 day ahead or 8 days behind. And I know that those dates are under review, and that the Bureau will come back with a confirmed deadline. Do you have an estimate as to when you'll have, what is the normal review period for the Bureau to sort of assess whether that's an accurate estimate or not?
The Bureau has, I can't remember if it's 21 or 20 days to review a submittal and get our comments back to the contractor. We actually do that typically faster than that. We do that typically in a couple weeks. So we did review, I can't remember which schedule it was when I came last. I think it was the December schedule, and gave our comments back, and then received the new schedule recently, which now shows instead of 17 days, 9 days behind. But we are in that process of reviewing, and we'll give our comments back to the developer.
So that 90 figure is still under review, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Cardenas.
Yeah, one more question. What's your comfort level with the fire life safety issue, and when can we see some, kind of flip it over and get in the positive side of getting an actual handle on the situation there? Understanding that it's an existing system that's with the convention center, but it needs to be rectified so that it can work with the new system, correct?
Correct. The timeline is, or the sequence to address this issue is to first assess the building. Once they assess the building, they're going to start, the developers, designers are going to start setting up baseline design parameters, and then begin developing that design. The assessment will give us a lot of information on the scope of what we may or may not need to include in that design. And so as we get that information, we'll have a better sense of it. We have been explained that the assessment should take, I believe it was 6 to 9 weeks, and then they'll start going into that very initial design phase. Overall, though, they believe that it will take 8 to 12 months to get through that entire process. We will have more information each month that we come with the latest information that have been received from this assessment and from the design. And as we get further into that 8 to 12 month period, we'll be able to lock in more and more what, if any, impacts this may have on the project. But it will be sort of, as we get information, we'll be able to update you on the solution.
So is there any impact on the critical path on the schedule at this time with that portion?
At this time, no.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any last minute questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. And I know for this special presentation, some of our colleagues from our other departments are joining us, so I do want to recognize Mr. Don Liu, our Executive Director of the Convention Center and Tourism Department. Thank you for being here, as well as Tina. Thank you for joining. I very much appreciate your partnership. All right, moving back to our regular schedule of our agenda, back to number 3, our proposed adjustments of permit fee study from the Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, President Kong, commissioners, and board staff. I am Ana Tabuena Ruddy, Assistant Director with Streets LA, and I'm joined here today by Chief Gary Harris, Division Manager of the Investigation Enforcement Division, as well as Chief Street Services Investigators Charles Smith and John Cessna. Gentlemen, do you mind standing up just so the board can see you? And we're also joined here today by our FUSE Executive Fellow, Mo-Kyu Hyun, who helped us bring this permit fee study to this point. Okay, so as Assistant Director overseeing IED, one of my first priorities was to evaluate and update permit fees to better align with the true cost of services. This ensures the general fund is not continuing to subsidize core quality of life enforcement work in the public right-of-way. Today, I'm presenting our Bureau's Investigation Enforcement Division's permit fee study and seeking your consideration to approve the recommendations and forward them to the Mayor and Council. Specifically, this report recommends adopting updated permit fees, establishing new application fees where appropriate, requesting the City Attorney to prepare the necessary ordinance amendments to the Los Angeles Municipal Code, and authorizing Streets LA to implement the administrative and procedural changes needed to carry out Council's direction. By way of background, IED serves as the primary enforcement arm of Public Works, administering approximately 20,000 permits annually and responding to 50 to 60,000 service requests each year. Despite this growing workload, most permit fees have not been updated since 1991 and no longer reflect the true cost or complexity of service delivery. This study was conducted to address that gap by aligning fees with the actual cost of service, reducing reliance on the general fund, and strengthening our ability to provide timely permitting, inspection, and enforcement services in the public right-of-way. At a high level, the study evaluates permits based on cost of service, degree of private versus public benefit, administrative feasibility, and user affordability, while ensuring compliance with state requirements that fees remain tied to the cost of service. It also identifies which permit categories are appropriate for full cost recovery and where policy considerations support maintaining subsidies. I will now turn it over to Mo-Kyu Hyun, our FUSE Executive Fellow. Before I do, I'd like to acknowledge that Mo-Kyu is a seasoned professional who's embedded herself with Streets LA to expand our capacity on this effort. She's led the detailed cost of service analysis, stakeholder coordination, and development of the fee structure and recommendations. So she will now walk through the methodology, regulatory framework, and key details of the fee study. Mo-Kyu?
Thanks so much, Ana. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Mo-Kyu Hyun. I'm a FUSE Executive Fellow for the Bureau of Street Services, and it's my pleasure to be here. I will be walking you through the fee study methodology as well as the regulatory framework that we considered and a summary of the proposed adjustments and supporting policy recommendations. So first, the fee study methodology. We conducted a cost of service analysis using a bottoms-up methodology that applies a city of cost structures to the staff time required to deliver each permit type. This approach applies fully loaded labor cost, both indirect and direct, based on the latest city's cost allocation plan as well as the salaries and staff time required to administer each permit. We mapped the workflow for each permit type, application intake, documentation, review of the work scope, any planning materials, field inspections, and enforcement compliance where applicable, and applied the average time that we determined that it takes to administer each of these tasks through the staff input from the investigators as well as from the management. The resulting service cost estimates were then compared to the existing fee schedule. This methodology ensures that the proposed fees are grounded in actual service cost delivery, as well as provide a transparent and documented basis to determine the current levels of subsidy and appropriate fee structure. Now, the regulatory framework. Building on that cost of service methodology, the proposed fees were developed to align with the applicable legal and regulatory requirements. Under Proposition 26, as well as the Article 13C of the California Constitution, regulatory fees cannot exceed the reasonable cost of administering the service or the regulatory activity for each permit. This study is designed to be in alignment and meet those standards. It establishes a clear nexus between each of the fees and the underlying work, whether that be application intake, plan review, inspection, at times interdepartmental coordination for special events, or enforcement, so that we're recovering only the city's actual cost of administering the program. Consistent with these requirements, the fee structure does not exceed the cost of service. It does not generate additional revenues and allocates costs proportionally to the activities that drive them. The analysis is grounded in the city's fully burdened hourly rates and the cost allocation plan, ensuring that both direct and indirect costs are fully captured appropriately without double counting. Now, the proposed fees. The Investigation Enforcement Department administers a wide range of permits regulating the temporary use of the public right-of-way, including construction-related encroachments, oversized transports, special events, water discharge, and haul routes. This study focuses on these permits, which we deem are commercially oriented with very limited public benefit, for which full cost recovery is appropriate. With the exception of special events permits that was last updated in 2010s, most of these fees have not been revisited or updated since 1991 and no longer reflect the current labor costs, service levels, or enforcement complexity. Based on fiscal year 24-25 data, the city is currently recovering approximately 45% of the cost of service, resulting in an annual general fund subsidy of approximately $2.7 million, or 55% of total program costs. There's a table too in the board memo that outlines each of the permit categories and what the current program costs and subsidy levels are. To bring these permit fees up to the current cost of service, we looked at 5 main permit categories we just mentioned, and I'll just briefly go over them. By the way, they contribute to about 90% plus of the total permit fee revenues for IAD, so there's a significant financial impact as well. Building materials. Authorizes a temporary use of public right-of-way for construction-related activities, be it staging, storage of building materials, placement of dumpsters, use of equipments like cranes and concrete boom pumps. The overload permits allows oversized or overweight vehicles to travel on city streets, typically for transporting goods to and from the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. Special events are permits that authorizes a temporary closure or use of public streets for events such as street fairs, farmers markets, red carpet events, and large community or commercial gatherings. Haul routes regulates the transport of earth materials, which is essentially dirt, that is over 1,000 cubic yards, particularly in hillside areas, to ensure that the hauling activity does not damage public streets and create unnecessary safety or community impact. And lastly, water discharge permits that governs the controlled discharge of non-storm water, such as water from fire and sprinkler testing into the storm drain systems, ensuring environmental compliance and public safety. I won't go line by line item as that will take some time, but the key updates of the fee study include introduction of non-refundable application fees to recover upfront administrative review costs. Our investigators spent significant time reviewing initial applications that don't go past the initial phase, and we'd like to recover the cost of that. Transition to a tiered fee structure for building materials to better reflect level of effort based on the size and duration of construction activity. Refinement or introduction of special events categories to align fees with the operational diversity and complexity of special events. a special event special review fee to recover actual costs for unusually complex, resource and time-intensive activities and events. An adjustment to base fees for the water discharge and haul routes to reflect baseline service cost. All of the details of these fees and proposed fees could be found in page 6 of the board memo, and you can refer to those as well. In addition to the fee increases, we're also recommending an annual automatic inflation adjustment using the Consumer Price Index for the LA area and a comprehensive fee study every 3 to 5 years to make sure we remain aligned with the city's evolving cost structure. In closing, the proposed fee adjustments represent an important step in ensuring that those who benefit most from the use of our public right-of-way start paying their fair share. At the same time, ensuring program effectiveness and realizing the increased fee revenues that we're projecting will require a modernized enforcement framework, including appropriate staffing levels and a penalty and fine structure that meaningfully supports compliance. The Bureau will continue to evaluate these elements in parallel to ensure that we have a comprehensive and sustainable regulatory program. And that concludes my portion of the presentation. We'll take Q&A.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments? I did want to start off saying thank you for embarking on this and making a very thoughtful approach to raising these permit fees related to our enforcement division. But any other comments or questions from the commissioners? All right, Vice President Chavez.
Yes, I too agree that, you know, it's high time that we reevaluate this. I know that we have to go through a process and we have to do fee studies so that we don't, you know, we don't get in the way of, you know, Prop 218 issues in terms of raising. But the one thing I noticed that you flagged in your report is the issue of the enforcement, the fines, the ACE fines specifically, that even the current fees are higher than the fines. So like the fines right now are relatively low. I mean, right now, a first time is $250, which oftentimes is cheaper than someone seeking a permit to do something lawfully. For example, storing things in the public right of way, which impacts those communities where if there's non-compliance. And so I'm just concerned about creating this, you know, the law of unintended consequences rears its ugly head here. And I'm concerned about, you know, creating this reverse incentive to where violating the rule is cheaper than doing the right thing. And I know you acknowledge this in your report, and then I'd like to understand sort of what the thought was about not considering that as well at the same time with recommendations, and also would like to understand what the timeline is that you were thinking in terms of coming back with that separately.
Let me get started and you can provide the details. So thank you for that question, Vice President Chavez. It's true that both the permit fees and the fines go hand in hand, but we have to start somewhere, and we're beginning with a permit fee study as a first. And one thing that we're hoping to do is that through the permit fee study, we're able to hopefully, through the revenues from that, support additional staffing for IED so that they can provide the enforcement necessary so that we find the folks that are not applying for permits, that are violating the permits and the public right-of-way issues that we're facing right now. So the next step, yes, would be to look at the fines and to make sure that that then supports this study. But we have to start somewhere, and we're beginning with the permit fee study. And do you want to, Chief?
Good morning, Gary Harris, Street Services. In addition to the issue with the fines being too low, which we agree, and we're working on that issue separate on another track. But the one thing this would do for us, if we have the sufficient funding to have people in the field, then we're going to identify those issues faster and we're going to follow up. Even though it only starts at $250 for the initial fine, the fine quickly escalates to $1,000. But more importantly, it escalates to a misdemeanor violation of law with us filing a case in criminal court. And we do think that will change behavior if we have enough folks out to make those cases move steadily through the system. Then it will no longer be a cost of doing business to end up in court defending themselves against a criminal charge versus just worrying about they may get caught, they may not. They know that we have limited resources. So the likelihood that we're going to be able to provide that consistent follow-up is not as high right now. But we hope that with the successful passage of this proposal, that it will allow us to bring in the funds and revenue to support a greater enforcement staff where we can actually make the ACE program very effective by going through the steps and following up on all our cases. And we do think that will have a deterrent effect, but we do totally agree that in the future, we'd like to see the fines rise also to take away some of that, to deter that effect of wanting to pay the fine as opposed to, paying for a permit to begin with. And we have had some success working with our partners in the Bureau of Engineering, the Bureau of Contract Administration. When it comes to our construction enforcement ban and peak hours, we were able to raise some of those fines recently, well, a couple years ago, where we have fines as high as $4,000 for failing to comply with some of the issues within that program. And that is a very effective deterrent. So we hope that we'll be able to have the same success in the future raising fines related to the issues we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Sorry, one last
Yes.
question. If you could, just a point of edification, I don't actually know this. So the revenues that are generated from the fees, do those go into the general fund, or is it in an enterprise fund situation?
It's going to the general fund.
Okay, so you still have to go through the budget process in order to make the case for the additional positions, all of that kind of thing. Okay,
That's correct.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other hands, is there a first and a second?
Second.
First by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by President Pro Tem Grant.
We will do a roll call for item 3. President Kane,
Aye.
Vice President Chavez,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Cardenas,
Aye.
and this item is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4.
President, good morning, President Kong, Commissioners. Hector Banuelos with Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. We have before us is a request for the board to exercise the second one-year option for landscape maintenance contracts in the West Valley area. This is one of 4 landscape maintenance contracts that the city at the Bureau has that oversees landscape maintenance of our median islands here in the city of Los Angeles. The contract was awarded to the lowest responsive bidder by the board on December 15th of 2023. And that first year, the contractor was performing at acceptable level, and therefore the first one-year option was exercised and approved on February 14th of 2025. This is the current contract. This contractor is in with Far East Landscapes. They are performing work at an acceptable level. It provides biweekly maintenance to approximately 2.6 million square feet of landscape. And the contractor, that contract was advertised with the mandatory subcontracting minimum of 4%. And as of October of 2025, the contractor has achieved 2.92% of participation from subcontractors and expected to achieve the minimum 4% by the end of this contract year. We're asking that the board exercise its second one-year option for this contract, which would be the third and final year. That concludes the report.
Thank you very much for item number 5. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Cardenas. Sorry, item number 4. Thank you very much. Any other comments? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
Second.
First by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, President Kang. And we will do a roll call for item 4. President Kang,
Aye.
Vice President Chavez,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell, and Commissioner Cardenas.
Aye.
Thank you. This item moves forward forthwith. Is approved and moves forward.
Thank you. And then continuing with item number 5.
Yes, this is like item similar to item 4. This is for landscape maintenance contracts here within the East Valley area of the city of Los Angeles, which includes council districts 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 13, and 14, and provides landscape maintenance of approximately 2.6 million square feet. This is the first year where this contract was awarded to the lowest responsive bidder, which was Far East Landscapes, and awarded on, first year was awarded on January 12th of 2024, and the contractor was performing at acceptable level. And the second, or the second year, the first 1 year option was approved by your board on February 24th of 2025. And that's currently performing at acceptable level. This contract was also advertised with the minimum subcontracting minimum of 4%. And a contractor, as of August of 2025, has achieved a 3.7% participation level from their subcontractor and is expected to achieve a minimum of 4% by the end of this contract year. So we're asking that, the Bureau is asking that the board approve and exercise the second 1 year option for the last, third, and final year of this contract.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on number 5? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
Second.
First by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, and we will do a roll call for item 5. President Kang? Aye. Vice President Chavez?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant?
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell? Commissioner Cardenas?
Aye.
Thank you. This item is approved and carried forthwith.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, amendment number 1, Western Gauge Median Park Project in CD8.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. My name is George Huang from the Bureau of Engineering. The item here before you is amendment number 1 to extend the contract with Lonnie for the traffic calming Western Gauge project. The scope of work includes the design and construction of a buffer area along Western Gauge and Gauge Avenue. There's a handout with the rendering. So what the project is doing is actually 2 separate projects. The one that is before the board today is to do the closure and the one-way conversion of Gauge Avenue to the north, which is the top of the handout there on the rendering, and then also to convert that to a one-way street, and then with the 11 additional parking stalls. This will also include some of the pavement work and also construction of the 2 curb ramps. And then there's another, so this paves the way for the other project, which is to install a pocket park. That's part of this rendering that you see here. And Lonnie is the organization that is taking the lead with the design and the construction of this effort. A bit of history about how this project came about. It started with the Community Redevelopment Agency that did the study and the initial design of this project. When the CRA dissolved, then at this time the project was competitively bid out to a design firm, and then Lonnie was part of the group that was doing the design services as well as the outreach. And then when the project was, when the CRA dissolved, then the project was on hold for a little bit. And then later on, it was picked up by the city council, which passed the funding and appropriation for to continue the project, and directed the Bureau of Engineering to work with Lonnie and establish a contract. And that's what the board did. We came to the board to execute a contract, which was on February 28th of 2024. And then that contract was for initially 2 years with the option to extend for additional 2 years, bringing it to a total of 4 years. So right now, when we started this report, the contract, the 2 years would have ended on March 14, 2026. So this board report is asking for the authority to execute this Amendment 1 to extend it to March 14th of 2028. In terms of the sole source, this contract was awarded as a sole source because at the time, Lonnie already had completed the 30% design. They have been doing some of the project management work. So that's why, even though this contract was less than 5 years, it still went through the mayor's office, through the city council to get approval as a sole source. And with that, this project is funded by the Assembly Bill, AB 1290, and also with the excess non-housing bond proceeds. There will be no impact to the general fund. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments? And thank you for bringing a rendering of the Pocket Park. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
So,
First by President Pro Tem Grant, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, President Kang, and we will do a roll call for item 6. President Kang?
Aye.
Vice President Chavez?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant?
aye.
Commissioner Mitchell? Commissioner Cardenas?
Aye.
Thank you, and this item is approved and carried forthwith.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, moving on to our last item, number 7, revised funding table for Crenshaw Boulevard Outdoor Art Museum project.
Good morning, Commissioners. Marcelino Asensio with the Bureau of Engineering Architecture Division. I'm here to present a motion to request a funding revision for the Crenshaw Boulevard Outdoor Art Museum, also known as Destination Crenshaw Project. The motion requests the board approve the revised funding table and increase the total task budget authority for task order number 54 to Perkins and Wills Architect. The need for the revision stems from a recent identification of an additional $71,634.20 in available interest in funds. So the funding was sitting in an account, interest-bearing account, and so when we went to go pay some bills, we noticed that there were additional interest accrued. And so in order to, it'll be used for Perkins and Will ongoing project management costs. The original budget authority, as I mentioned, was roughly $1.3 million. And it was authorized April 3rd of 2019, so a few years ago. And so the increase will be used for, like I mentioned, project management costs. Perkins and Will was supported the design development and is continuing to support the project through construction administration services. So this simply asks for the authority to expend those extra funds in the account. With that, I conclude my presentation. If there's any questions or concerns, comments.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments on item number 7? Seeing none, is there a first and a second?
Second.
First by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by President Pro Tem Grant.
Thank you, President Kang, and we'll do a roll call for item number 7. President Kang? Vice President Chavez?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant?
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell? Commissioner Cardenas?
Aye.
Thank you. This item is adopted and carried forthwith.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Reyes, I believe that concludes our items for today.
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. Our regular meeting will be in spring recess in observance of Easter and other holidays for about a week, and we'll return on Monday, April 6, 2026. Thank you very much.